The sound pierces the quiet of the night. It is a high, frantic wail, echoing from the corners of a darkened room. In the center of a large, unfamiliar space sits a tiny, trembling shadow. This is Ninja. His wide eyes reflect the faint moonlight coming through the window, and his mouth opens wide in a desperate, exhausting cry. His tiny claws grip the strange, cold floor as he calls out into the empty air. If you have ever brought a rescued kitten home, you likely know this heartbreaking sound. It is the sound of total, overwhelming fear. It is a plea for a mother who is no longer there, a cry that can shatter your heart and leave you feeling completely helpless. When we first brought Ninja inside, we thought the hardest part of his journey was over. We had taken him away from danger, away from the harsh and unpredictable streets, and placed him inside a safe, dry house. We naturally assumed he would feel relieved. But looking at his shaking body, it was entirely clear that our human concept of safety meant absolutely nothing to him. The first instinct we have as humans when we hear a baby of any kind cry is to rush over and pick them up. We want to cradle them, hold them close to our faces, and whisper soothing words to make the fear go away. On that first night, the temptation to hold Ninja constantly was incredibly strong. Often, in a household with a new rescue, an entire family will take turns holding the tiny animal, passing the kitten from lap to lap, trying their best to offer comfort. But this is the first common mistake when dealing with a highly stressed, newly rescued kitten. This is where many people go wrong, despite their absolute best intentions. We have to look at this interaction through Ninja's eyes. He is a tiny prey animal, suddenly scooped up into the sky by giant beings he does not understand. Every different person holding him introduces a completely new, overwhelming scent, a new booming voice, and a new pair of large hands squeezing his fragile body. Instead of calming him down, this constant handling spikes his fear to an unbearable level. He does not understand our hugs, our kisses, or our attempts at reassurance. He only knows that he is exposed, trapped in the air, without any dark place to hide. His nervous system is already overloaded from the trauma of the rescue and the loss of his family. Passing him around only forces his tiny brain to stay in a permanent state of high alert. To truly help him, we had to do the exact opposite of what our human nature told us to do. We had to stop passing him around. We had to strictly limit his contact with multiple people. We needed to step back, carefully put him down, and give him solid ground beneath his feet so he could begin to process his new reality. Realizing that human comfort was actually causing him more stress was a difficult but incredibly necessary lesson. We finally understood that Ninja did not need us to be his parents in a human way. He needed us to simulate the maternal feline environment he had tragically lost. He missed the dark, cramped, warm security of his mother and his littermates. The vastness of an open, brightly lit room was terrifying to him. We needed to build him a sanctuary, a quiet place that spoke directly to his deepest, most ancient survival instincts. The next crucial step was addressing his physical environment, specifically his body heat. This brings us to another common mistake many well-meaning rescuers make. They often leave a new kitten in a large open space with just a flat, exposed pet bed resting on the floor. A tiny, fragile kitten like Ninja simply cannot properly regulate his own body temperature. The ambient air of a normal human house, which feels perfectly comfortable to us, feels like a freezing, bitter wind to him. A drop in his body temperature causes instant panic, lethargy, and a desperate biological instinct to cry out even louder for a warm body to press against. We needed to create a stable, continuous source of warmth to calm his shivering. We started with a small, sturdy cardboard box. We purposely did not use a massive dog crate or a wide-open playpen. We chose a space just big enough for him to turn around in, because a tight, enclosed space naturally feels like a secure den to a scared animal hiding from predators. Inside this box, we placed a heating pad, but we only placed it under one half of the floor. This is a vital detail that must not be overlooked. If the entire floor of the nest is heated, the kitten can easily overheat, become dehydrated, and be trapped in the suffocating warmth. By only covering half the floor with the heating pad and burying it safely under layers of thick, soft fleece, we gave him a choice. If he got too warm, he could easily scoot his body over to the cooler side of the box. The visual change in his body language was immediate. When we gently guided Ninja inside the box, you could see his violent shivering slowly start to subside. He immediately crawled to the heated side and pressed his small belly firmly against the warm fleece. The steady heat radiating upward mimicked the living body of a mother cat. It sent a powerful physical signal to his nervous system, telling his brain that he was not going to freeze to death in the dark. But warmth alone was not enough to quiet his racing mind. The crying continued, though it was slightly muffled now from inside the cardboard walls. He was in a warm place, but to his highly sensitive nose, it was still an alien, frightening landscape. It smelled like fresh laundry detergent, like manufactured synthetic fleece, like human hands and unfamiliar shoes. This brings us to another critical aspect of kitten care and another frequent mistake. Often, rescuers want to provide brand new, freshly washed blankets to make the kitten clean, sanitized, and comfortable. While hygiene is obviously important for health, a completely sterile, heavily perfumed environment is utterly terrifying to a cat. Cats navigate, understand, and map out their world primarily through their incredible sense of smell. Without a familiar scent to anchor him, Ninja felt entirely lost, as if he had been dropped onto the surface of another planet. We had to fix this immediately. We had to give him something he recognized. We took a small, dirty piece of the towel that had been used to transport him in the car earlier that day. It was a rough towel that still held the dusty, gritty scent of the outdoor alleyway where he was found. And more importantly, it deeply held his own unique scent. We placed this unwashed scrap right in the absolute center of his new warm nest. We also took a soft, dry cotton cloth and gently rubbed it around his cheeks and his chin, naturally collecting his calming facial pheromones. We then wiped that cloth deliberately along the inside cardboard walls of the box. Suddenly, this strange, sterile enclosure smelled just like him. It smelled like the only reality he knew. We watched closely as his frantic pacing inside the box began to slow down. He stopped dead in his tracks right at the piece of dirty towel. He lowered his tiny head until his nose touched the fabric. He sniffed it deeply, his long whiskers twitching rapidly as he processed the invisible information. You could physically see his tense shoulders drop. The rigid tension began to leave his spine. That familiar scent was a map coordinate in the dark. It told him that he existed, that he was present, and that this small, warm space belonged entirely to him. Yet, even with the comforting warmth and the familiar, grounding smell, the overwhelming silence of the human house was still a massive problem. The quiet of the room was entirely unnatural to him. In the wild, a nursing kitten is never in total silence. They are constantly surrounded by the rustling bodies of their siblings, the deep, vibrating, rumbling purr of their mother, and the steady, rhythmic, comforting thud of her heartbeat against their resting ears. To leave Ninja in a silent, perfectly still box was to leave him feeling profoundly alone and abandoned. We had to recreate the pulse of life. We needed a fake heartbeat. We searched and found a small, round, analog clock, one with a very distinct, steady, audible ticking sound. We wrapped this hard plastic clock tightly in a soft, thick sock so the edges would not hurt him, and we tucked it carefully under the fleece blanket, right next to the heat source. If you do not have a loud ticking clock, there are stuffed toys designed specifically for this exact rescue purpose, featuring small vibrating devices that beautifully simulate a beating heart. We gently placed the wrapped clock against Ninja's side. The effect was almost magical to witness. The steady tick-tick-tick resonated softly through the thick blanket and against his fragile ribs. It perfectly mimicked the rhythmic thumping of a mother's heart. Ninja froze at first. He raised his head, his tiny ears swiveling backward as he listened intently to the new sound. Then, very slowly, with a heavy sigh, he curled his tiny body tightly around the hidden clock. He tucked his wet nose completely beneath his paws and closed his eyes. That steady, rhythmic sound gave him a permanent anchor in the terrifying dark. It told him he was not alone. To complete his sanctuary, we draped a light, breathable blanket over the top of the box to block out the harsh room lights and create a true, dark, protective cave. We sat quietly on the floor nearby, holding our breath, simply watching and waiting. For the first time since we found him trembling outside, the frantic wailing stopped completely. The room was perfectly quiet, save for the faint, steady ticking of the hidden clock beneath the fleece. We watched Ninja's tiny chest. It rose and fell in a slow, deep, rhythmic pattern. The fearful tension in his muscles was completely gone. He was no longer a terrified stray fighting for survival in a giant, loud world. He was just a baby, finally getting the deep, restorative rest he so desperately needed to survive. The beautiful transition from crying all night to sleeping peacefully did not happen because we held him tight or forced our human love upon him. It happened because we learned to step back, observe, and provide exactly what his wild instincts demanded. We learned that true rescue is not just about bringing an animal indoors and closing the door. It is about deeply understanding their unique fears. It is about providing a stable, life-saving temperature to keep them secure, preserving their familiar scent to keep them emotionally grounded, and strictly limiting human handling to give them the physical space to feel safe. When we finally stopped trying to comfort Ninja like a human baby and started comforting him like the tiny, instinct-driven feline he was, he finally found his peace. And so did we.